going through her subconscious mind, and she has trapped emotions in different parts of her body, mostly her uterus and her amygdala. The amygdala is known for taking care of your fight or flight. She trapped a plethora of negative trapped emotions. We release them. And she comes in for her third session and she says, "You're not going to believe it. I had the most vivid dream after we released all those negative trapped emotions." She said, "I had a dream of all these people who came to me and apologized and said, 'I'm sorry that I did this to you. And I hope that you can let it go and, release it.'" And she said, "I woke up in a cold sweat and I've never felt so light." Hello, and welcome back to Journey of a Fearless Female. I am your host, Paola Rosser, and this week I don't have a guest. I'm all alone, so thank you for listening to this episode. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to me on Apple Podcast or Spotify, make sure you leave me a review. Okay, so let's get started. I have been wanting to talk to you guys about my body code volunteers. Some of them want to stay anonymous, so I'm not going to use names, and other people are allowing me to tell their story. So, as you know, I've been working on my certification for body code. And if you don't know what body code or emotion code is, it's actually a healing modality that was started by Dr. Bradley Nelson, who is a chiropractor. And he noticed that even though he was making adjustments on people, that they were still holding on to some pain, that there were still some issues, some body aches, that no matter how many adjustments he made, they were still complaining of some pain. So he did a lot of research. He got a lot of downloads from Source, the divine God, whatever you want to call it, and he created this practice. It started with emotion code, and then he continued with body code, and now they've opened up this new sector called belief code, which I can't actually get certified in that until I'm finished certified with body code, which I'm super close. I only have 2 more modules to go, and I think I only need 4 more volunteers and I will be complete. But yeah, so as you're doing your body code certification, so let me break it down a little bit more so that you can understand what it is. I'm basically tapping into the volunteers or the client's subconscious mind with their permission. I ask through muscle testing the subconscious mind yes or no questions. And the subconscious mind is basically leading me to any misalignments or imbalances in the body that are probably causing some sort of pain or ache or block in the person, the client. So it could be a spiritual, energetic, or, physical thing that is happening to the body. And I've got to tell you, I actually was a little skeptic. I've been an emotion code practitioner since 2019. And yes, I've used emotion code on my coaching clients. And even when I was doing emotion code on my coaching clients, I still had some self-doubt that this actually works, right? Because it just seems a little bit too woo-woo. And even though I am a woo-woo type of person, like I believe in talking to my spiritual guides, I believe in meditating, I believe in all the things, because I'm very much an open person. I like to discover new healing modalities. I like to test them out and see if they work. And some healing modalities work for me and some don't, honestly. Like Reiki just never worked for me. Somatic healing just didn't work for me. EMDR didn't work for me, but emotion code actually did, and I loved it. I've used it ever since I've discovered it back in 2017. I've had my own practitioner, and it's really, really helped me a lot in my healing journey, and it's helped other people that I've recommended to start using it and my own clients. And so I really, really have always kind of acknowledged the fact that it works on me, but I've always had this self-doubt that me as a practitioner am good enough. Obviously, that stems from my own childhood shit. It stems from, feeling worthy and good enough and deserving of this healing modality and being able to do it on other clients. And so when my friend and my own practitioner suggested I really need to go up to the next level and use body code and help others to heal, I was still hesitant. I was like, there's no way that this actually works. There's no way that I can make a living off of this. There's no way that people actually are getting results. Okay, so fast forward. I finally take the leap. I sign up for body code. I pay the thousands of dollars. Just kidding. It's only $1,000, but it feels like thousands of dollars. It's $1,500 to get your body code certification. That's a lot of money. Yes, it's a lot of money, especially in the economy that we're in. And honestly, even though my husband supports me in every which way, I still feel guilty spending more and more money, especially in my coaching practice. So it was the reason why I never went from emotion code to body code right away. I think it's $1,000 to get your emotion code certification. So after spending $1,000, I kind of was like, I don't want to spend more money. And I didn't. And so I was only a practitioner for emotion code for a couple of years. I think I got it in 2019. Dang, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's about 4 years, right? 3? Yeah, 4 years ago, I got my license to be an emotion code practitioner. And I kind of only told my clients that I was a practitioner. I really didn't tell too many people because, when you're doing something that seems really new age and woo woo, people are gonna, give you the side eye or make you feel like it's way out there. And so I didn't really acknowledge it or tell people. I did include it in my coaching practices, in my coaching packages, and some of my clients had really great results, and some of my clients thought this doesn't work for me. And so when I finally decided to spend the money and take the leap and start working towards getting my body code certification, I hesitantly brought out my credit card and pressed the button. I don't know about you, but I've spent thousands of dollars, like thousands and thousands of dollars on healing modalities, on courses, on conferences, on coaches. And so I kind of felt like, do I want to spend more money on this? Is it really going to help my coaching practice? Is it really going to elevate me? Is it really going to give me a return on my investment? And it's pretty crazy. I was just telling this story to somebody. The coach that, is helping me, she told me, you're going to make money. You're like, this is how much money I'm making every month. And even when she told me that, I kind of was like, didn't believe her, right? Because I had that, self-doubt, that little nudge in the back of my head that's just like, it's too good to be true, right? There's no way she's making enough money just doing body code sessions. And so as I was thinking that thought, I remember telling God, Spirit, like, give me a sign. Like, am I supposed to be doing this? Like, should I spend the money and get my body code certification? And just then, my practitioner and coach that was like telling me, yes, get your body code certification, texted me that day, that moment, literally my phone went off. And I mean, we're friends, but we're not friends where we text all the time. I mean, she's busy all the time. So busy. Her calendar is completely full with doing body code sessions. I mean, she's 3 months out, busy, back to back, back to back. So for her to text me in the middle of the day, I was like, this is not normal, but it's also the way the universe works. I asked the question and I got my response. And I looked at my phone and it was a picture of her PayPal account. And she does make that much money doing body code sessions. And it was my sign, like, go ahead, just pay the money, take the leap, you're going to get a return on your investment. So I went to my computer, I paid the money, I signed up for the course, and for whatever reason, I used the wrong email, because I have several emails. I used the wrong email to sign up, and they couldn't find me from 2019 because you cannot get your body code certification until you finished your emotion code certification. So they were trying to tell me, like, you can't do this. You haven't gotten your emotion code certification. I'm like, yes, I already have it. I was certified back in 2019. I had to show proof. And then finally the floodgates were open. Okay. Fast forward, I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'm doing the first and second module. I kid you not. I was bored. I was bored. I was just kind of like, oh, this is boring. What did I do? It's like that buyer's remorse like crept in, and I was like, what did I do? I made a huge mistake. I even texted my coach and practitioner, like, tell me again how much money you have, because I am feeling overwhelmed and I'm just not in the mood to sit in front of my computer and watch this module. And I was also PMSing. So I was just kind of like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to spend my time learning a whole new craft, right? And she she messaged me back later that evening, because I'm telling you, she's booked all day. So she finally messaged me back later that evening, like, if this isn't something you want to do, you shouldn't do it. Like, don't waste your time, because you're healing people. So if you're not doing this with good intentions, then you shouldn't do it. She was right, and I was just acting like a brat because, you're starting something new. I was PMSing. I was not in a good mood. There was other things going on in the house that were just, making me feel overwhelmed. And I said, yeah, I'm going to continue to do it. So by the third session, it's already asking you to start working on volunteers. To do your body code certification, you have to have a certain amount of volunteers, and each volunteer has to do 3 sessions. So they get 3 free body code sessions as you're working the modules and learning how to use the body code. In addition to, you have to buy this app that is like a chart of some ways. And so I bought the app, and I have an email list, about 300 or 400 women on my email list. And I told my virtual assistant, Alex, send out an email blast. I'm looking for this many volunteers. They have to do 3 sessions. And it's for my body code certification. And I honestly didn't believe that I would have anyone respond back. I don't know why I was thinking that nobody would respond. But Alex said that I had and she set up my Calendly, she set up the link, because I woke up the next day and my calendar was back-to-back appointments. And I had so many volunteers that I had to have a waiting list for people who would bail or not show up for their second and third session, which honestly, I haven't had anybody not show up for their second or third session. And even in the beginning, like, I remember my very first session with one of my really good friends. She was like, she's into the woo-woo, she's very open-minded, and we did our first session, and it wasn't really anything, nothing really came up that was really out of the ordinary or anything too like, ooh, deep. And she told me the next day that she had a really bad nightmare and that she didn't want to do it anymore, that she felt like, God was telling her not to do this. And I was like, well, that's weird, because this is not like black magic or anything. And literally, Dr. Bradley Nelson tells us to ask for divine guidance. Like, he literally expresses to pray before each session and then to pray afterwards. So I was kind of like taken aback and a little confused, and I kind of felt like maybe I should stop. And I talked to my coach, and she said, well, some people are ready for healing and some people aren't. So if she's not ready for it, move on to the next. And I loved that she said that to me, because I was already starting to like close up. Like, I was already starting to say, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, right? And that's an important lesson to learn, is the moment you start to do something that's outside of your comfort zone, your subconscious mind is going to try to drag you back to your comfort zone, to where it feels safe, to where you're not going to get ridiculed or made fun of, or you're not going to be humiliated, right? And so when I got that first feedback from my very first volunteer, who was a really good friend of mine, I said, you know what, I'm not going to pressure you into doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable. This is obviously volunteer. So thank you so much for the first session, and just know, you know me at my core, and I wouldn't mess with anything that has to do with black magic or anything like that. Like, I literally pray before and after each session. But that really actually made me stop and think, because her session, I just prayed silently. I closed my eyes like I'm going to get divine guidance, and I just prayed silently, right? So after that, I have been praying out loud with the volunteer because I want the volunteer to know what I am praying and what I am asking for. So actually that's helped me a lot, and actually it makes the client or the volunteer feel more like we're working on this together with a divine source. So I've changed that because of what she said to me. I have now started to pray out loud before each session and after each session, so the volunteer or the client knows who I'm praying for, who I'm asking for divine guidance. And um, so the other volunteers, so the more that I learned, let me back up. So, I'm only on module 2. So then I'm starting module 3 and module 4 and module 5. And the more that I'm learning, the more that I feel like I'm getting more confident in the muscle testing and the clients and the volunteers. And, I'm still doubting, like, am I forcing a yes, or am I forcing that it needs to go to this section? No, I would test and retest, and sure enough, the subconscious mind would lead me to exactly where I needed to go to find the misalignments or imbalances for the volunteer. So here are a couple of the results that I have noticed from my clients. And these are only the ones that I'm going to share because some of them don't want to, they're not, I haven't asked them, like, can I share your results? So the people that I have asked, I've done a couple of videos on TikTok, but I want to share them here. Okay, so one of them who is okay with me sharing her name is Cheryl Greenfield. Now, Cheryl Greenfield has been on my podcast before. If you haven't listened to her episode, she shares that she was molested by her uncle when she was 12 years old. So when she jumped on my Zoom call, I completely forgot that she was on my podcast. Like, there's so many people that I interview, and there were so many volunteers, and there were so many names that it just didn't click, right? So I'm going through her subconscious mind, and she has trapped emotions in different parts of her body, mostly her uterus and her amygdala. The amygdala is known for taking care of your fight or flight. She trapped a plethora of negative trapped emotions. We release them. And she comes in for her third session, and she says, you're not going to believe it. I had the most vivid dream after we released all those negative trapped emotions. She said, I had a dream of all these people who came to me and apologized and said, I'm sorry that I did this to you, and I hope that you can let it go and release it. And she said, I woke up in a cold sweat. She's like, I woke up in a cold sweat, Paola, and I've never felt so light. It was so beautiful. I was like, wow, that really happened. And then I had another client, and she would like to stay anonymous. She came to me to talk about feeling stuck. She was feeling stuck, and she felt unmotivated. She had recently lost her job, and a couple years prior, she had lost her mom, and she just felt stuck and unmotivated. And she felt as if she didn't have that rock that she used to talk to. Like, her mom was her rock. And so when she lost her job, she didn't have that person to go and lean on and talk to and feel like herself again. And so she felt unmotivated and stuck. We did 3 sessions. After her second session, she told me, you're not going to believe it, which I freaking love when people start their conversations like that. You're not going to believe this. And for me, it's like, yes, I am going to believe it, because I do believe in the woo-woo, like I said earlier. I do believe in the spiritual, just the ability for us to believe in the unseen. I have faith that we don't know it all. And the cosmic joke is, if when you think you know it all, you really don't. And anyways, so she tells me, you're not going to believe this, but my mom visited me in my dream. After our last session, she came to me and she was like, it was so real. And she said, no seas triste, mija, which means don't be sad, daughter. She said she woke up and she was like, it was exactly what I needed to hear from my mom. And she's like, I feel so much better. And it's so crazy because I remember the first time she showed up on the Zoom, she was in like, dark clothes, and she looked sad, and she just kind of looked like this. And by the third session, she was wearing colors, and her hair was done, and her makeup was done, and she was attentive and just excited for, what was to come. And it was just a beautiful, in 3 sessions, I could see just how different she was from the beginning to the end. And to have that beautiful dream of her mom who's passed away coming to visit her was just a beautiful result. So that was the second one. Okay, here's 2 more. So I had another client who came to me, and she was saying that she suffers from TMJ and that her jaw is always hurting. And so here I am doing the body code and checking to see what would possibly happen to make her TMJ act up. And it ends in toxin, and it says excess, and it says caffeine. And I was like, have you ever thought about just not drinking coffee? And she's like, oh my God, I can't stop drinking coffee. I love coffee. I need coffee in the morning. And I'm like, okay, but your subconscious mind led me to this, that you have an excess of caffeine. So why don't you just experiment and try not to drink it? I kid you not, she texted me the next morning and said, I stopped drinking coffee I didn't drink my coffee this morning, and my TMJ isn't flaring up. What? I was like, okay, this is working. Again, I was just like in shock, right? I also have to do 5 pet volunteers, which the body code apparently works on pets too. So I had a girl bring her dog, and her dog was telling me, or well, not telling me because I was tapped into the subconscious mind of the dog, that there was something wrong with the hydration, that there was something wrong with the water. And then I kept looking and kept muscle testing what could possibly be wrong with the dog's water. And it showed up as like an electrical toxin. And for some reason I got a download. Okay, and this is another thing that's so weird about body code, and this is what my practitioner and my body code coach is telling me. She says, if you are connected subconsciously to your client or your volunteer, if you hear anything or think of anything or feel anything in your own body, say it out loud, because it might mean something to the client or the volunteer. And so in that moment when I was muscle testing with the dog, the excess of like electricity or something, it was like something like that. The download came to my mind that there's something wrong with my water. And then I just said to the client, I said, I don't know why, but I need to say this. Is their dog bowl or their water bowl next to an electrical outlet? And she turned the phone around to show me, because she was sitting next to the dog on the floor, to show me where the dog's water bowl was. And it was right next to an electrical outlet that had something plugged into it. And I said, what is that plugged into it? And she said, it's the carbon monoxide detector. And I said, whatever you do, move the water bowl away from that outlet. And the thing that she was coming to work with me on is that the dog was waking up every morning and throwing up. The moment she moved the water bowl away from the outlet, the dog stopped throwing up. Now, again, I don't know how all these woo-woo body code things work, but it worked. And so I was really psyched. So, after like every volunteer taught me something new, and it gave me a it reinforced my ability to truly believe and have faith in this healing modality. So here's a couple more that happened. This is when I was an emotion code practitioner and I was working on volunteers. Again, when I was first doing my emotion code certification, I was also really worried. For my body code certification, when I looked for volunteers, I looked within my sphere of influence, meaning I sent out an email blast to the people that were on my email list. I asked all of my friends. I text messaged people I knew. But when I was working on my emotion code certification and I needed volunteers, I was deathly afraid of asking my friends or my clients or anybody that was in my sphere of influence, because I was afraid they were going to think that I was woo woo, that I was like new age, and that they would make fun of me and they would think that, like, Paola, why are you doing this? You know, I thought that they would question me. So I actually went to a Facebook group, and if you know who Louise Hay is, the Facebook group doesn't exist anymore, but there used to be a Facebook group for Hay House, and it was just filled with a lot of people who were, you know, just into the woo woo and into the new age, and were just a little bit more open. And I remember I wanted so bad to post that I needed 20 volunteers. And back then, to do your motion code practitioner certification, I think you only have to do one session per person. You don't have to do 3 sessions in one. And I remember, like, the fear that enveloped my body to just ask, to just post it. I think I typed it out like 2 or 3 times, but I never hit post. And then finally I was like, Paola, you're getting down to the deadline. You have to get volunteers to finish this certification. I finally hit post, and the flood of people that volunteered from this Hay House Facebook group was incredible. And so I met these strangers via Facebook, and I did these emotion code sessions, and some of these people were just astounded by the results. Not only did one of them become an emotion code practitioner because of the sessions I did with him, but also there was this one where, again, here I am trying to locate where they stored a negative trapped emotion in their body. And I do muscle testing. So for example, if you're a 40-year-old woman, 20 is your half age. So I will ask the subconscious mind, when did she trap this emotion? So for this particular example, this woman, she had trapped the emotion of humiliation. And so I'm asking the subconscious mind, is it before or after the age of 20? Is it before or after the age of 15? And then say, oh, it's after the age of 15. Okay, is it the age of 16? It's the age of 17. And it'll lock me like, yes, it's the age of 17, which to me means, and for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I'm doing the muscle testing rings. For her, the negative trapped emotion of humiliation came up. And again, in my head, or in my body, I was feeling tingling sensations on my legs. And I said, I don't know if this means anything. Because here's the thing. When you are asking the volunteer or the client, like, hey, you trapped humiliation at 17, a lot of people are not going to remember the age of 17, especially if you're older. If you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, 17 is kind of like you know, half your lifetime ago. You're not going to remember exactly why you trapped that emotion. So that's the reason why my coach, my practitioner, tells me just say it out loud. And so at that moment, when she had trapped the negative emotion of humiliation at the age of 17, I was feeling tingling sensations down my leg. So I said, I don't know if this means anything to you, but I'm feeling tingling sensations down my legs. And she said, oh, I remember why. She's like, I was on the swimming team and I had fat legs. And when I would take off my towel, all the other girls would make fun of me. And that was the reason why she trapped that negative emotion of humiliation. I also had another volunteer from the same Facebook group who I did a session with. And again, I'm looking for a negative trapped emotion. I find a negative trapped emotion of feeling unloved at the age of 15. And at that moment, I just started coughing like uncontrollably. She had, and usually I'll say, you trapped, feeling unloved at the age of 15. What's the first thing that pops to mind? And in that moment, I couldn't even say, what's the first thing that pops to mind? Because I started to choke and on my own saliva. And I was like, hold on. I was like, I'm coughing. I don't know why I'm coughing. I can't swallow my own saliva. Hold on. Let me grab some water. And she goes, I know why. And she says, I tried to commit suicide by swallowing pills and I had to get my stomach pumped. I still get goosebumps thinking about that. I really don't know how it works. And sometimes you don't need to know how it works. Literally, that's what manifestation is. That's how faith it works. That's how a lot of you don't know exactly how it works, but it works. And these results of these clients and volunteers have literally opened up my eyes into this healing modality. I'm 2 modules away to actually getting certified, almost completed all of my volunteer work. And I still am just in shock by the results. I'm shocked by the things that I am experiencing while doing these sessions. And yeah, if you are interested in learning more about body code and emotion code, if you have tried all other healing modalities like I have, and I'm telling you, I have tried everything from tuning forks to acupuncture. I've tried psychedelics. I have tried, which by the way, I love psychedelics and I should do a whole podcast about that. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear my story. But I have tried a lot of healing modalities, weightless tanks. I have done EMDR. I have done hypnosis. I have done a lot to heal my past trauma. And you can do so many therapy sessions and you can talk about it and you can journal, but some of our trauma is really, really stuck in our cellular level. It is stuck in our body. The body is a beautiful, beautiful machine and has so many different ways of protecting us. And so if you are exhausted and have tried everything and you've gone to physical therapy and you've had the surgeries and you've taken the pills and you have tried it all and you're still like experiencing pain, you're still feeling, and it doesn't have to be just physical, it could be energetic, it could be you know, spiritual. Like some of us are stuck in, like that one girl who was stuck and she didn't understand why she was stuck. And it was just this grief that was in her body still from the loss of her mom. And she had to release it. She had to have that dream. She had to be open enough to accept the healing for it to come. So it really is just a beautiful healing modality. Like I said, I still haven't even gotten my certification for body code, but I've had my certification for emotion code. I personally use it. My husband uses it and I love it. I absolutely love it. And every single time I do a session, it solidifies how I feel that this modality actually works. So again, if you are listening to this podcast or if you're watching me on YouTube, make sure to comment, make sure to reach out. You can either find me on Instagram, TikTok, or on Facebook, and let's connect. Let's put you on the calendar. Let's let you do a session and let's see where your subconscious takes you. Maybe your subconscious wants to release some trapped emotions. Maybe there's a broadcast message or a despair anchor that you have, or there was one person that had two clouds of just dark clouds filled with a memory of just lots of trapped emotions because of certain things that happened to her in her life. And once we released them, she was like, I can't believe I feel this light. I can't believe I feel so good about myself. And I mean, truly, I wish I could tell you exactly how it works. I don't know exactly. I just know that the divine has guided me to this, and I'm excited for where it's going to take me. So if you're interested, again, reach out. Thank you again for listening to Journey of a Fearless Female, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you again for listening to Journey of a Fearless Female. I'm your host, Paola Rosser. If you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual mentor, you can book a free discovery call with me at www.fearlessfemale.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at fearlessfemale_coach, subscribe to my YouTube channel at fearlessfemale, or find me on TikTok. I'm under at paola.rosser. And if you love this episode, make sure you hit subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave a review. I read every single review, and I truly appreciate the time you spend writing it.